What we're going to do today is close this bracelet. I love bangle bracelets, and so we're going to close this bracelet, make a bangle, and we'll be soldering it. So the first thing that you need to know when you're soldering is that there are 5 rules of soldering: fit, clean, flux, solder placement, and heat. So first of all, we must make sure that these pieces are going to fit together. So we're going to use some pliers here, because I've already rounded this out with my Weber's large round mandrel pliers. So we'll fit this up. See, it will go together perfectly. Now, I've already cleaned it, but it doesn't hurt to swish it around in the pickle a little bit where you're going to solder it. You can also sand it, file it a little bit, and then rinse it in pickle. But I've been touching this. I'll rinse in there, and then of course after pickle you have to put it in the water to rinse the pickle off. Okay, so we have fit, we have fit, we have cleaned. Now we're going to add the flux. Now I flux around the whole piece because being sterling silver, your flame plays all over this piece. If it was just gold, gold is a very bad conductor of heat. And so then you only have to flux the join. Many people are taught only to flux the join. This is because they've been taught by, or their teachers have been taught by, a goldsmith. But when we're working with silver, we have to play the play the flame all around this whole piece. Okay. So we have fit. I'm going to go back and check our fit. We have clean, flux, solder placement. Now these are really big pieces of solder. I'm putting them under the join because solder flows in the direction of the heat, and we will be heating from above. So if we're heating from above and we put our solder underneath the join, the laws of physics basically tell us that the solder will flow right up the join. Now we have to make sure that the piece of solder is touching the join, and it is. Okay, so we have fit, cleaned, flux, solder placement, and now we will heat. I'm using a Smith ambient air acetylene torch with a number 1 head. It is the most useful head you can use for general soldering. A number 0 head is good for small things like jump rings, closing jump rings, or putting earring backs on. A number 00 head will get a little bit larger, but for something this size, it would take you a long time to heat the piece with a 0 or a 00 head, so we've jumped on up to a number 1 head. The hottest part of your flame is 1/4 inch in front of that blue cone. Now, when starting to solder, if you start here, right where the join is to solder, the heat will transfer around because silver's favorite thing to do is to cool off. So if we start right here, it will go all the way around and come back around here before it gets both sides hot. Both sides of our join have to reach the same temperature at the same time. That's the trick. Both sides of the join have to reach the same temperature at the same time. It took me a while to learn that. So in order to help that, we're going to start back here, and we'll heat back here, and that heat will come around. So what we have here is some hard solder, wire solder. I've rolled it through the mill to flatten it. So we're going to heat it, have it come all the way around here. Starting at the back, we're starting with it turning a fluffy cloud white. That means 400 degrees. When it starts turning kind of a skim milky white, we're at 700 degrees. When it goes clear, we're at 1100 degrees. But you see, we're going back and forth to heat each side evenly. We haven't even come around to our solder join yet. But I'm gauging the temperature as the flame hits the new part of the silver, just keeping the other warm because it's already hot, going back and forth. Then we go back and forth here. Did you see it flow? I'm going to let it sit for a minute, cool off. We can quench. Try to quench in here. Quench in some water, cool it off, then put it in the pickle. This is a citric pickle, so it takes it usually a little bit longer to pickle, to get clean. Go ahead and put it back in the water. Check our join. Nice tight join. Okay. So we take something like this. Well, what this is a large jump ring. Hammer it around a mandrel. You can end up with a variety of bracelets that look like this. Some of them I've taken and put a little dangle on something like that. You can make as many of these as you want, and they're fun. You can use all kind of flat wire, all different shapes of flat wire, all different shapes of decorative wire. You can even take some round wire. This is a 8-gauge round wire. I have rolled it very gently through the rolling mill, get that nice little edge on it. Gone through, hammered it with a hammer, a texturing hammer here in front, polished it up. I like to make oval bangles because I think they fit the wrist better than round bangles. I hope you've enjoyed this. Happy soldering, and may your bezels never melt.